It got ignored today. You added today 20 additional candidates to the previously used list of potential justices, quote, in the mold of Scalia, Thomas, and Alito. Among them, Senator Tom Cotton, Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Josh Hawley, people well known to this audience. Why did you want to release them? And you're also calling on Joe Biden to release the names of people he would like to appoint to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Because outside of war and peace, the most important thing a president does is select Supreme Court justices and judges. You know, we're going to have probably over 300 by the end of my first term, which is a record. Over 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, too. So that's a number that nobody thought even possible. And we will have that number, and it'll be all confirmed and done and great. And also Supreme Court judges or justices. And the whole country, it depends on these decisions, which way you go, whether you have a Second Amendment or not. I mean, the Second Amendment would be under siege. If I wasn't here, you wouldn't have a Second Amendment right now. You wouldn't have a right to guns. You would, whether you had it or it was just almost totally obliterated, but it would be in a very different form than you have it now. I've kept it totally as it was, and it's something I'm very proud of. And people, I think it's a real voting issue, a Second Amendment. Life, you look at that. So these judges are going to be making massive decisions, and the next president is going to get 1, 2, 3, or 4 justices of the Supreme Court. I have 2. That's actually considered a lot. You've had many presidents, frankly, where they didn't have. I think they had none. Many of them had none. You know, they stay on there a long time. You don't have many, and they stay on there for a long time. So you've had presidents with none that have been in for a long period of time. But I've already had 2. And you could have literally anywhere from 1 to 4 additional. That changes the entire fabric of the nation for many years. You know, they're on the court for 25, 30, 40 years, depending on the age, depending on what age you choose. And frankly, most of them are young because you want to pick young. You want them on as long as you can have them on. So it's a very, very important thing that's happening, and I felt that I should announce the list, and from which I will only pick. So we had 22 or 23, and now I added 20, so we have about 43. And it will only be from that list that I'll pick, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. It'll only be from that list. So everyone can look at that list, and they'll be happy or not happy. Joe has to put up a list. This was something that I came up with the last election. I think it might have been one of the reasons for my success in the election, because people weren't sure who would I pick, and I actually put out a list of 20 and then 25, and I said only from that list. Well, only from this list and the previous list will I pick. Joe has to come up now with a list. He should come up with a list. Otherwise, people can't vote for him. But the reason he possibly won't is because he's going to come up with far radical left judges. I mean, these will be people that are very, very far to the left, that are, revolutionary in a sense, I think. And he's got to come up with them. I don't know that they're going to allow, because they control him totally. They control Joe Biden. He's not controlled. He's not in control of himself. He's controlled by the radical left. It's a very dangerous part of our society, and he is totally controlled, and he's not going to be able to name Democrat judges that are in the middle someplace or normalized, people that are like normal people. He will be forced to pick extremely radical left judges, and I don't think you can get elected if you do that. If you do what he has to do, which is name the judges that he's going to pick or the justices soon to be that he's going to pick, I don't think it'd be electable. So he's got a real problem.
Let me go to the issue of national defense. As president, the largest military buildup since the Reagan years. First pay raise in many, many years for our military. You resolved the VA hospital scandal that existed in the Biden-Obama years. You removed the rules of engagement, which allowed you to beat the caliphate in Syria, which Joe and Barack were not able to do. You got Soleimani, Baghdadi and Associates. You got the al-Qaeda leader in Yemen, and you're pulling America out of long, protracted wars by the use of new military technology. But the story is claiming that you disparage fallen soldiers.
Yeah. It's a total lie. It's total disinformation. They put it out, then they do commercials on it. And to think that nobody that I know could have said those things, look down at soldiers that have been dead for decades and decades and decades, real heroes. And they made it up. They made up the story. We have 21 people. I think you probably saw much more than that if we wanted to, because there were many people there. And the Secret Service wouldn't let me take the trip because of the dangers of going through very crowded parts of a certain part of Europe, as you know, or in Paris. And they wouldn't let, they said we can't do it because the helicopter couldn't fly. It was raining as hard as I've ever seen it rain. It was foggy, so foggy you couldn't see anything. It was serious Paris fog, and like you couldn't see anything. So I knew immediately you couldn't take the helicopter. The drive would have been a very long one, which I had nothing else to do. I went there for that. In fact, the next day I went to another cemetery, and by the way, it was pouring, but not nearly as hard, but it was pouring, and I made a speech in the rain. No umbrellas, no anything. You know, they said, it's just disinformation. I didn't want to get my hair wet. I've had my hair wet plenty of times. I made plenty of speeches in the rain. And if I didn't, you wouldn't be president right now, that I can tell you. So it's disinformation. They made up a story about two disgusting words that they say I said, and I didn't. And I have many witnesses. We have 21 witnesses. They only have sources. Sources say there are no sources. They made it up. It's a bad guy. It's a bad failing magazine called The Atlantic. And, of course, the media picks it up. And then they do television commercials. We put them on notice. Don't do it. Take it down. And I've worked too hard on the military and making it really great again. That's what we've done. We've rebuilt it. It was totally depleted when I took over. It was depleted. It was tired. It was exhausted from all these endless wars where our soldiers are being brought back, because I can't stand to see them coming back in shape. When they're not really fighting, they're really serving as police forces over there. We're not fighting to win, and they haven't fought to win. But I knocked out ISIS, killed Soleimani, killed al-Baghdadi, did things that Obama can't even think about doing. When I took over, ISIS was all over Syria, was all over Iraq. But I want to get out of there now. We've done it. Let them protect themselves. And there's plenty of countries over there that can do it.
Let me ask you about the violence that has been going on well over 100 days in American cities. New York, obviously Chicago, we have Portland, we have Seattle, we have Los Angeles, we had Kenosha. 3 cities that did request your help and assistance, D.C., Minnesota, Kenosha. You were able to send in the Guard. They restored order. You've been begging the de Blasios and Mayor Lightfoot and Ted Wheeler and the governor the mayor of Seattle, pretty much begging them to allow you to help them restore order. Joe Biden had said at one point police become the enemy. He wants to reallocate funds. Kamala Harris was for the reallocation or defunding the LAPD, $150 million. You got $1 billion now cut from the New York PD. Why do you think that these mayors and governors steadfastly refuse your offered assistance to restore order?
Well, Kenosha is a great example. That was ready to burn down after 3 nights, and we went in with the National Guard and just closed it out. It took, like, so quick. And Minneapolis is another example. The problem is it was burning for 2 weeks before the National Guard came in, and once the National Guard came in, it was over. It took, you saw it, 45 minutes to 1 hour, and it was all over. This was going on for weeks, and we would do the same thing. We were ready to go into Seattle. They took over 20% of the city, a big chunk in the middle of the city. And they heard, we told them we're coming in. And then they sent their police. And their police are fine. They're good if they let them do what they're supposed to be doing. But they don't do that. They're all Democrat-run cities, and they're not well run. And they're they become very unsafe because the level is so ridiculous. They do want to defund the police. And I've never seen somebody that could change like Biden. Now, I don't actually think he's aware of what he's even saying, to be honest with you, but I've never seen anything like it, where he talks about defunding the police or not doing much for the police, and then all of a sudden he sees what's happening with his poll numbers, because as you see, we're going way up. I think we're leading in Florida, we're leading in Wisconsin, we're leading in Pennsylvania, we're leading in North Carolina. I think we're leading in New Hampshire. We're leading by a lot, and we're really leading by a lot in Ohio. I just saw a poll a little while ago. I think we're leading all over the place, frankly. But, you know, the fake news doesn't like to say that. I must tell you that Fox has among the worst pollsters of all. I think they're terrible. I don't know who at Fox is doing it, but they're terrible pollsters. And they have been, frankly, even 4 years ago. That's probably the same group, but they don't have a clue, your pollsters. You
I actually
should
like
talk to your
Matt
people
Towery.
about that.
He's separate and apart for the Fox O&Os. I've known him since Newt Gingrich's contract with
Yeah.
America days.
He's very
I'm
good.
fond of him and John McLaughlin and Scott
right.
Rasmussen.